So, I'll be completely honest. I really did not want to practice my instrument today. I've been in kind of a weird mood recently. I just kind of want to sleep a lot. Today, I guess because of that, I wanted to talk about motivation and why it's important to be aware of it. I think that a lot of destructive behavior, self-destructive behavior, comes from not recognizing a lack of motivation and letting yourself fall into habits that egg on that lack of motivation. At the moment, I feel not great. I think it's important to keep up a routine that you can rely on so that when your motivation does come back, you haven't fallen behind. Admittedly, I don't really want to practice my bass right now. I guess I'm thinking of this topic because it's the new year after all, and everyone talks about their New Year's resolutions and writing them down and how, oh, they're finally writing them down, so now they're actually going to do it this year. And I think New Year's resolutions can be helpful to a certain extent, but I think that most of the time people pile on too many goals for themselves to the point where it becomes unrealistic. And I say that because I am one of those people. I remember this one year, I think I wrote 20 down. One of them was solve the Rubik's Cube in less than a minute, which was interesting but kind of silly. For this year, I just want to have 2 goals because I think that's much more manageable, and I think that having overarching general goals at the beginning is good to start so that as you change throughout the year you can adapt the goals and still maintain the act of completion. For me this year, I want to learn audio production as my first goal, and for my second goal I would like to learn to play the piano to a point where I can start not necessarily improvising but composing. I think that I have a lot of ideas in my head that I cannot get onto paper yet. If I want to write my musical, I think that would be a good place to get to. I feel kind of weird making this right now just because I'm not in a great spot motivation wise, and I think that's an important thing to talk about. A lot of videos discussing New Year's resolutions talk about get motivated, get excited, get happy, it's a new year, new you. Maybe this is just unique to me, but I changed a lot personality wise towards the end of 2018, and they were invigorating changes at the time, but I think now all of that emotional stress is finally catching up to me. And I think it's important to recognize that a new year doesn't necessarily mean you have to be good or better all of a sudden. January is an arbitrary month, and maybe you're like me and you're not doing too hot, and I think that's okay. And I think as a society we don't really recognize that sadness is as widespread as it is, and not that you should experience sadness for long periods of time, because obviously that's not good, but I think that it's important to experience sadness in its fullest capacity while you are experiencing it so that you can process it. I don't know necessarily if I'm doing it in a healthy way, but I'm processing it. And I guess a third resolution for me would be to learn how to process feelings in a better way. I don't think I've ever properly developed healthy sets of coping mechanisms. I kind of take on each emotional challenge as a new thing. Not to say that every emotional challenge can be handled in the same way, but I think that people in general should have a set of mechanisms they use to cope properly, and I don't think I have that. So I think that would be a good resolution to have. I just finished my first week of winter classes. It was only a 2-day week, but it felt kind of long. So I think this weekend would be good to just reevaluate where I am in my life right now, how I'm feeling about everything, because obviously I'm at not a new place, but it's a different circumstance within a relatively new place. I think that'll be good. I want to keep practicing my bass, even when I don't want to, because I think that it's really easy to get into a rut of not practicing, which is why I think I bought this bass maybe a year, 2 years ago, and I still can't play it. So I don't want to get into that rut again. When it comes to the new year, I think people should have resolutions, but I don't think they should be so stringent on them, because it's really easy to get demotivated when you're not doing what you thought you'd be doing, or when you're not feeling how you thought you'd be feeling, even after a bunch of changes you've made in your life. It's just important to think about how things don't go to plan. I think most people enjoy a bit of control in their life, so when things do get out of control, it's good to take a step back and realize that sometimes you just can't do anything about a situation, even after you've done all you can to improve it from previous circumstances. Letting go, I guess, is important to remember. One positive thing is I can play the major scale faster than yesterday, which is always nice when you're getting better at something. Not that faster is better, but I guess in terms of this exercise, it translates that way, for me at least. I kind of wanted to make this as a reminder of myself, a reminder to myself that you're not always going to feel ready to handle everything in your life. The things that you're doing in your life are because you want this long-term goal, but at the same time you need to remember to be happy in the moment, and I don't think right now you're letting yourself do that. Just check in with yourself every day and think about one thing that made you happy that day, or something that you could do tomorrow that could make you happy. Not even necessarily happiness, but just a feeling of contentment. In terms of your New Year's resolutions, you want to learn audio production, you want to get good enough at piano so you can compose, and I forgot the third one, but I think it's something along the lines of you want to let yourself feel at a fuller capacity than you previously have been letting yourself. I think that those are 3 good goals that can be flexible and manageable. Keep practicing, Gray.